Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Catherine Cooksey. Super excited about this video. One of my subscribers actually a while ago sent me her artist statement, and I apologize to her. I have not been able to spend the time to do it yet, but today we're going to go through it. I'm going to edit it down and talk about the statement that she sent me. She wanted to stay anonymous, so I did change some of this information up here. I basically made it myself. So yeah, let me know if you have any comments or questions, but we're gonna get started editing her artist statement. So first things first, 2 paragraphs. It's a little long just visually looking at it, but it's always better to start off with more and edit down than less and try and put in sentences that just didn't come to you naturally. So usually you can take this type of statement out of your artist statement unless they ask you specifically for your age and where you're from, or if it's crucial to your art practice, then leave it in, but most of the time it's not. So let's get started. First things first, it's a little long, but this is okay because it's easier to edit down rather than have something too short and try and put in filler sentences. You never want a filler sentence in your statement. So this is a really good start. Unless they ask you specifically for this information, just feel free to take it out. An artist statement should be about your art. Not about you unless your art is about you, which her statement is, but very loosely. So feel free to take this out. So growing up, a step outside my house would be like putting my senses into a blender. I could sit on my porch and my mind would etch a sketch black line silhouette figures, sun-shaded rays of light, and the heat would ripple across the canvas of my horizon line, which was everything in front of me. So we're going to stop there for a second. That's a really hard sentence. There's a lot going on in there, but I understand painting a picture for the person who's reading your artist statement. However, this doesn't really say anything about your artwork. It says, why you have a passion for visual arts, because there were so many things happening when you step outside your house, but I still don't know what your artwork looks like or even what you're doing. So my world is always in high definition, and when I started to understand that I could see art in everything, my imagination grew. I spent hours watching the Cartoon Network and playing video games that experimented with cel shading. As I got older, reality set itself firmly in front of me as I dealt with personal turmoil and understanding a simple universal truth that the world was not fair settled in. I started to understand that my immune system would fight itself and my mind would express its pain through color on a page that would capture the dark humor that would overlay my life. So now I'm very interested. This statement here doesn't give me any specific information. I don't know what the personal turmoil is. I don't know what really what else is happening, but I'm interested. This is the first sentence in the statement that really captured something different, something unique. As I continue to use my art to color my proverbial palette, I use that palette to create works of art that explore political satire, the macabre, and steampunk. When I paint, I want to capture the essence of my subject and want the expression to be a portrait that is playful with a twist. Now we're getting into actually talking about what your artwork is about, which is good. I like to think that capturing the smallest of details help to bring lines and acrylics to life. Okay, probably not an important statement. Salvador Dali once said, "Have no fear of perfection." Okay, take out any quotes from other artists. It's not important. It's just filler. They really want to know about your artwork. I've learned that perfection does not lie distinctly in the piece itself, but in the creation of the piece. The pushing of the brush's edges tell the raw vulnerabilities blend into shape. I always want my intention of my work to match its passion on the canvas. My goal is that I can learn enough about art and the world to blend together the world's truths with each brush stroke, and that people enjoy my work. So let's talk about make goals a separate line, because a lot of times this is something that people are interested in. What is your artist goal? Especially if you're applying for school or a show, what's your goal as an artist? Let's leave that into the last thing that we talk about. Okay, so we've read her statement fully, kind of dissected each part. This is good because you really want to read each sentence and make sure each sentence has a purpose, because an artist statement is so short. You don't want fillers, you don't want sentences that really add nothing to your artist statement. And honestly, this opening really has nothing to do with the meat of her artist statement. The meat is what I would say is the conceptual kind of drive behind the work that she's making. This is the work, this is what the work looks like. This is the concept behind it. And this is just filler. So really, you can take all of this out. It's very good to start off this way because you want to write your artist story, how you got started, where you became inspired. But by the time you decide to be a professional artist, that's not so important. What is important is the art. Why do you make the art? Not the story of how you became inspired to make art, but the actual why are you making this art. My world is always in high definition, and when I started to understand that I could see art in everything, my imagination grew. Again, a filler sentence. It's not saying anything. I don't read that sentence and know anything more about what your art looks like or the meaning behind it. My world is always in high definition, and when I started to understand that I could see art in everything, my imagination grew. I spent hours watching Cartoon Network and playing video games that experimented with shade, I'm sorry, I'm being dyslexic, with cell shading. This, again, is really filler. This is saying why I became inspired to make art. Take out any of the why I became inspired to make art. All I want to know is what your art looks like and what is the meaning behind the art that you're making now. And that's really, really hard for an artist to separate because it's so important of why you decided to become an artist and what inspires you. But that's so incredibly personal and very common with artists is their inspiration. Take all of that out. You want to stand out, and what is going to make you stand out is the art itself. As I got older, reality set itself firmly in front of me as I dealt with. So this is very interesting. I would challenge this artist to put in details. Some artists aren't comfortable with putting in or sharing with the world personal turmoil. And I went through that too. I have an eye disease that's uncurable, and that's in my statement. Ready for people to know kind of what makes me vulnerable and what I'm uncomfortable with. But that's true and raw and real facts about you, the artist, that pertains to your artwork. This is really, really interesting, but I need more. I need to be able to read your artist statement and feel like I know you and have the truth from you as much as I can. So if this artist is comfortable with sharing more, I would definitely encourage that, because that will help us further understand what motivates the concept behind your artwork, and it also will make you unique with your personal turmoil. I think right now the one thing that is missing is kind of this head sentence. You need a heading that captures the audience right away. So as I got older, you can take that out. Like that could even be a header right there, because it captures your interest right away. You're socking them in the face with powerful information about your artwork and making them sit up and pay attention immediately. A lot of times artists will want to do a soft sentence. I'm not a fan of that. I want to be punched right in the face. That's what your art should be doing to people, and that's what your statement should do as well. Through colors on a page. I would change. If you're working in paper, keep it. If you're working on canvas, change that to canvas. As I continue to use art to color my proverbial palette, I use that palette to create. So this again is a filler sentence. I use that palette to create works of art that explore political satire, the macabre, and steampunk. Perfect. It's direct, it's to the point. I can get a visual image in my head even without having seen her artwork, which is what you want to do. I would only caution, pick these words carefully because it will create a picture right away. Steampunk is a very visual message that people immediately have an idea of. So when you use these words in an artist statement, make sure that they are really representing your artwork. But it's important to not shy away from being upfront about what your artwork looks like. When I paint, I want to capture the essence of my subject and want the expression to be a portrait that is playful with a twist. I like to think that capturing the smallest of details help to bring lines and acrylics to life. This sentence, and really this line, this little line right here, is a little too cliche. Artists like to paint things that come to life, to open a new world into the unknown. Those little kind of ideas you want to stay away from, because you don't want anything cliche or anything that sounds young. So I would take that out, and really I would take this out as well, because it really doesn't have that punch that we're looking for in the artist statement. Obviously, we are cutting this down quite a bit, but it's good because you really want 4 to 5 sentences that really just say exactly what you're trying to say and leave the viewer understanding your artwork, understanding your concept, but not giving fluff. I've learned that perfection does not lie distinctly in the piece itself, but in the creation of the piece. It's filler. It does not help me with the visuals of your artwork. And all of this definitely goes into the meaning behind artwork because the artist wrote this, and these sentences, these thoughts are important to the artist because it's talking about why she is doing art. But as a reader, I have learned that perfection does not lie distinctly in the piece itself, but in the creation of the piece. That tells me nothing about the artwork or the meaning, and I'm no longer interested in that sentence at all. This is an interesting sentence. It really is. I'm gonna italicize it because I would want her to use this in here someplace, maybe, along these lines to give more of a visual to her artwork. It's not a complete sentence, so, but it's got some really interesting visual cues in here. So I would keep that, but work it into this. I always want my intention of my artwork to match its passion on the canvas. Too cliche. My goal is that I can learn enough about art and the world to blend together the world's truth with each brushstroke, and that people enjoy my work. Okay, take this out. Why? Because people enjoying your artwork, that's a given. My goal is that I can learn enough about art. Your goal should be more specific. Take this, and really you say it here. You want to blend together the world's truths with each brushstroke. This is a little cliche, but it's not too bad. So my goal is to blend together the world's truths with each brush stroke. So that's a lot better. This is a little cliche, but it's not too bad. I'd maybe italicize that just to think about it. See if there's... Okay, so let's read this cut down artist statement in full. Reality set itself firmly in front of me as I dealt with personal turmoil and understanding a simple universal truth that the world was not fair settled in. I started to understand that my immune system would fight itself and my mind would express its pain through color on a page that would capture the dark humor that would overlay my life. I use that palette to create works of art that explore political satire, the macabre, and steampunk. When I paint, I want to capture the essence of my subject and want the expression, man, I do that every time, want the expression to be a portrait that is playful with a twist. My goal is to blend together the world's truths with each brushstroke. So this I would, again, challenge because it's a little cliche. I want to capture the essence of my subjects. You could say I want to capture the raw vulnerabilities of my subjects. Capture the raw bit of my subjects. I want the expression to be a portrait that is playful with a twist. Here I would bring back this kind of dark humor element. So it's not playful with a twist. That sounds super happy, but it has that dark humor with a twist, bringing a kind of round, full feeling of thought to the artist statement. My goal is to blend together the world's truths with each brushstroke, with the pushing of the brush's edges till bleeding into shape. Hold on. My goal is to blend together the world's truths with the pushing of the brush's edges. They blend into shape. My goal is to blend together the world's truths with the pushing of the brush's edges until they blend into shape. Bleed. Bleed. That says bleed, guys. Oh my gosh. Till they bleed into shape. That's beautiful. That would be my suggested artist statement from the original. Obviously, this could completely change depending on what her art actually looks like and the meaning behind her artwork. This could be a completely different read of her artwork than what she is intended. However, from just the text, this is what I got out of her artist statement that I think would be an interesting read. It's not too long, there's no fluff, and there's something really interesting going on. This wouldn't be the final artist statement. It's a really good start, but again, I would challenge to add a little bit more detail in here and really just smooth out a couple of the cliche parts, but it is really going someplace. So that hopefully helped, and I hope I wasn't too blunt with what I was taking out. Please let me know if you would like to send your artist statement in. Thank you so much to the subscriber. I really appreciate you letting me take apart your artist statement. Really interesting. I think you have a lot to say, and I'm really excited to see what you come up with from this.